They wanted tears. You smiled. They wanted tears. They wanted your voice to crack. They wanted your shoulders to collapse under the weight they placed on you. They watched. They waited. They leaned forward in anticipation, convinced that the moment would come when you would finally break. But instead, you smiled. Not because it didn't hurt, not because it was easy, but because somewhere deep inside, in the quiet place they never reached, something in you refused to die. They threw you into the fire, believing fire only destroys. They forgot. Fire also forges. And this is where your story begins. They expected the usual ending. They expected silence from you, withdrawal, apologies. They expected you to question your worth, to shrink, to disappear into the background of your own life. They expected tears because that's what they would have done. They expected surrender because surrender is all they know. They mistook your kindness for weakness. They mistook your patience for permission. They mistook your quiet endurance for defeat. And when the pressure came, when the betrayal surfaced, when the lies stacked up like gravestones, when the people you trusted turned their backs or sharpened their knives, they smiled to themselves. This is it, they thought. This is where you fall. But what they never understood is that you were already familiar with darkness. You had walked alone before. You had sat with pain longer than most people could tolerate. You had listened to your own heartbeat in rooms where no one came to save you. So when the storm arrived, it didn't shock you. It trained you. While they were watching for your collapse, something else was happening. Something quiet, something invisible. You were adapting. You learned how to breathe in chaos, how to stay calm while everything screamed, how to look straight at disappointment and not flinch. Every night they thought you were crying. You were learning where your strength truly came from, learning who was real and who was only present when the sun was shining. They expected drama. You chose discipline. They expected excuses. You chose silence. They expected explanations. You chose progress. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the pain stopped being a wound and started becoming fuel. You stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this making me into?" That question changed everything. You see, survival doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like waking up tired and still going. Sometimes it looks like swallowing your pride and choosing growth over ego. Sometimes it looks like smiling through storms because you refuse to give them the satisfaction of seeing you bleed. You were rebuilding yourself in the shadows, brick by brick, habit by habit, thought by thought. You learned to sit with discomfort without running, to face loneliness without begging for company, to stand alone without feeling abandoned. And while they were busy talking about you, judging you, mocking you, rewriting your story to make themselves feel powerful, you were becoming someone they could no longer control. Did they notice the change at first? No, because real power is quiet before it is undeniable. Then something shifted. They saw it in your eyes first. That calm, that unbothered stillness, that dangerous peace. You weren't chasing approval anymore. You weren't reacting to every provocation. You weren't explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, and that confused them, because they needed your reaction, they needed your anger, they needed your tears to validate their importance. But you didn't give it to them. You gave them indifference, and indifference is terrifying to those who crave control. They began to panic quietly. They replayed conversations. They watched your movements more closely. They tried new tactics. Subtle jabs, indirect insults, calculated silence. Did they really think you wouldn't notice? You noticed. You just didn't care. This is where the power shifted, because while they were still fighting the old version of you, that version was already gone. The you who needed validation, gone. The you who over-explained, gone. The you who tolerated disrespect just to keep peace, gone. In their place stood someone sharper, calmer, unshakable. You no longer entered rooms seeking permission. You entered knowing you belonged. You no longer measured yourself against their opinions. You measured yourself against your own standards. And that That made them uncomfortable, because when you stop reacting, they lose leverage. When you stop explaining, they lose access. When you stop seeking, they lose power. They wanted tears. You smiled. That smile wasn't arrogance. It was mastery. It said, "You no longer control how I feel." It said, "I survived what you hoped would destroy me." It said, "I'm no longer available for games I've already outgrown." And the more peaceful you became, the louder their insecurity grew. They tried to remind you of your past. They tried to box you into who you used to be. They tried to drag you back into old dynamics where they felt superior. But you didn't argue. You walked forward, because you finally understood something most people never do. Your growth doesn't need their permission. Every step you took without looking back was a statement. Every boundary you set was a declaration. Every calm response, or lack of response, was a quiet victory. You became fluent in self-respect. You became loyal to your future instead of your history. You became selective with your energy, ruthless with your focus, and suddenly, they were watching you from a distance. The same people who once looked down on you now looked at you with uncertainty. Because you weren't supposed to win like this. You weren't supposed to glow after the damage. You weren't supposed to rise without revenge, without noise, without chaos. But you did, and you did it with grace. You see, the most powerful transformation isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need witnesses. It happens when you choose yourself again and again, even when no one claps, even when no one notices, even when it hurts. And one day, you wake up and realize you are no longer angry at them. You're grateful. Grateful for the pressure that revealed your strength. Grateful for the betrayal that clarified your values. Grateful for the pain that forced you to grow up spiritually and emotionally. They tried to break you. Instead, they introduced you to yourself. Now look at you, standing taller, thinking clearer, moving with intention. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you build. You don't prove, you embody. And when they look at you now, they don't see someone they can manipulate. They see a mirror of everything they avoided becoming. That's why your peace bothers them. That's why your silence feels loud. That's why your smile feels like defeat to them, because deep down they know you won. Not because you crushed them, not because you embarrassed them, not because you sought revenge, but because you became free. Free from their opinions, free from their expectations, free from the need to be understood by people who never listened. You no longer need to explain your growth to people committed to staying the same. And that is real power. So, if you're listening to this right now, understand something. Your calm is not weakness. Your silence is not surrender. Your smile is not ignorance. It is evidence. Evidence that you endured. Evidence that you evolved. Evidence that you mastered yourself instead of trying to control them. They wanted tears. You smiled. And that smile is the sound of chains breaking. The quiet echo of victory, the signature of someone who walked through fire and came out refined. Carry it with you, because the world doesn't need another angry soul. It needs people like you, people who turn pain into purpose, betrayal into wisdom, and survival into strength. They wanted tears. You smiled, and in that moment, you became unstoppable. Do you feel it? That quiet power inside you, growing stronger with every insult, every betrayal, every sideways glance they throw at you? That's your essence refusing to be tamed. That's your soul declaring, silently but loudly, that you are no longer defined by the noise of others. They believed the cracks in your past would determine your future. They believed that because you had stumbled before, you would crumble again. But they forgot one simple truth. Survival teaches lessons that comfort never can. Every time you were knocked down, you didn't just rise, you evolved. You learned the language of resilience. You learned that pain is not a punishment, it is a tutor, and you read its lessons well. Do you remember the nights you lay awake, thinking the world had forgotten you? The nights when their words felt like knives cutting through your confidence. That was the fire they intended for your destruction. But in those same nights, you were plotting your rebirth. You were gathering pieces of yourself that even they could not touch. You were learning that the storm outside was only a reflection of the storm within, and you began to tame it. And now, watch closely, because this is where the tables begin to turn. While they are busy expecting weakness, you are quietly stepping into a new version of yourself. Every glance they throw your way, every attempt to provoke you, every whisper of doubt, they are all met with silence. Silence that is heavier than any argument. Silence that carries the weight of someone who has seen the worst and survived. Silence that speaks louder than their judgment ever could. Do they notice it? Not yet, but soon they will. They will notice how calm you are in situations that once consumed you. They will notice how you no longer react with desperation or fear. They will notice how your peace makes them restless, how your indifference feels like defeat to them. And when they finally see it, when their eyes widen with uncertainty and envy, that is your moment of quiet victory. You are not seeking revenge. No, revenge is for those still tied to the opinions of others. You have transcended that. Your power lies in your detachment, in your mastery over yourself. You have become like a storm contained, a river flowing relentlessly toward the sea of your purpose. They wanted tears. You gave them a smile. They wanted chaos. You gave them order. They wanted to see you small, and instead, you grew beyond their comprehension. Now imagine yourself standing on the edge of all you have endured. Behind you, the weight of betrayal, the shadows of their doubt, the echoes of your own fears, and in front of you, the open horizon of everything you are capable of, every challenge you faced, every insult you endured, every time you were underestimated. It was all training for this moment. It was all shaping you into someone they can no longer recognize, someone unstoppable, someone untouchable. They wanted tears, but your strength is sweeter than their cruelty. Your resilience is brighter than their darkness. Your peace is heavier than their judgment. And with every step forward, with every calm breath, with every smile they cannot break, you send a message. You are free. You are whole. You are untouchable. So keep walking, keep building, keep smiling, because every day you choose yourself, you prove them wrong. Every day you refuse to react, you claim victory. And every time they wonder why you are unshaken, remember this: your life is no longer theirs to influence. Their expectation of tears has become irrelevant. Your smile is your signature, your power is your message, and they will never understand it, because it was never meant for them to. They wanted tears. You smiled, and that smile is louder than any word they could ever speak. It is louder than their lies, louder than their doubt, louder than the chains they tried to wrap around your spirit. That smile carries the weight of someone who has endured, someone who has transformed, someone who has claimed their victory without a single battle cry. It is the calm after the storm. It is the fire that cannot be extinguished. It is the unmistakable proof that you are no longer anyone's victim. They wanted tears, but you are unstoppable.